Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Would you all please join me in welcoming our speaker this evening, Bob L.
Hi, my name is Bob Lemke. I'm an alcoholic. Glad to be here. It's always a pleasure for me to participate in the meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. I think it's a little more meaningful when there's new people or comparatively new people. Because whether you new people realize it or not, and I'm sure you don't, because we didn't. Next to us old-timers, you're the second most important people in this room tonight. And don't ever forget it. For without you, Alcoholics Anonymous, I think would end up with all us old timers sitting around here telling these same old stories. We'd probably all get drunk, you know. But I'm glad to be here after a harrowing hour and 40 minutes on the freeway. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. I guess it's, I have to do what it says we're supposed to do here, because unbeknownst to a lot of people today in Alcoholics Anonymous, it is not the purpose of an AA meeting, incidentally, for me or anybody like me to get up here and spread my dirty linen over this gathering here tonight. Because whether you believe it or not, there are people sitting here tonight who would be totally offended by my dirty linen and probably your dirty linen. The book says, and that's the only authority I know around here, that we're supposed to take that nitty-gritty crap, those deep, dark secrets of my innermost being and your innermost being, and don't ever forget we're as sick as our secrets. It says we're supposed to commit that to writing. Yes. My handwriting, your handwriting. And then and only then it says, are we supposed to share that with another human being, singular? Not spread that crap around these meetings. I don't know about any of you, but the day I walked into this leper colony, and I'd started sharing some of that stuff that was going on in my life at that time, and some ding-a-ling would have been sitting near the door and snuck out the meeting and told the cops, I'd still be walking the yard and quitting. And so, newcomers, be damn careful who you share that with. You better trust that individual with your life. Because if you're alcoholic like I'm alcoholic, you've got skeletons in the closet. And you better be damn careful who you share it with. Like I say, you better trust it. You better trust them with your life, because I've seen instances where it was their life, and it's very serious business. And so tonight in this world, there is one other human being who knows every rotten thing I've ever done, every rotten thing I've ever thought of doing, every rotten thing I've ever planned on doing. And he's my sponsor. If you don't got one, get one. Plain simple. If you don't got one, get one. Because I'll tell you some facts of life tonight, and the first one is, if you're running your own show today, and you're relatively new, you've got an idiot running your life. If you don't believe that, stick around a while and get honest. And you'll start to realize how idiotic some of that stuff was that you were pulling out there. And then you'll start to realize another fact of life, that idiocy and insanity are twin brothers. So if you think maybe it was a little idiotic, you're a little nuts. And I think that's why we're all here. Because we're not bad people trying to be good, we're sick people trying to get well. And the longer I'm here, the more I realize that. And so I'm just eternally grateful for the people who were here before me, who had the courage of their convictions to tell me the things that I was supposed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. Because if they'd have told me what I wanted to hear, like I hear people telling people today, weird stuff like, "Oh, you don't even look like an alcoholic." I'm a con artist, too. If they'd have told me the first person that would ever lay that on me, I'd have conned him out of $50 and split. And you'd have a different speaker here tonight, too. And so I'm just eternally grateful that the people I first ran into in Alcoholics Anonymous, they right out of the chute, they called things like they were, and they told me things that I didn't want to hear, like truth. Because I don't know about any of you, but most of us are pathological liars. If you don't believe it, the best way I know to tell whether a newcomer's lying or not, if his lips are moving, he's lying. And that's the nature of the beast, I think, of the alcoholic. And I think a lot of it is that we came by it kind of as part of this deal. I mean, we had to learn to lie, and we got good at it. We had to lie about who we were with last night, where we were last night, who we were drinking with, how much we were drinking, where we got the money, why we didn't come to work, why, and we had to start, because we raised a lot of doubts in people's minds. You know, people that get to know us, they can understand us, you know. My God, last week he just promised he'd never do that again, and he was going to be here on time every day. And now he isn't here again. You know, my boss, when I got sober, he said, "I'm sure glad you got sober, because there was either, I don't know what it was with you, but you had 98 teeth extracted." And 28 members of your family died in 1 year. So those of you who never used that, I'll tell you how to do it. I mean, if you see me after the meeting. But that's the way it was with me. I was a pathological liar. I believe the greatest percentage of us are, even if we don't realize it. By the time I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, my lying got so bad that I used to lie when it would have been to my advantage to tell the truth. Yeah. I mean, I had to color everything up in the world to make me come out ahead and make you look bad. And that's the way it was. I had to do it. It's the only defense I had. And I had to lie. And they told me when I got here that you have to start to get honest. And I said, "How in the world do you do that?" I said, I'm starting to realize it now, but I've been lying since I've been that high. And I got really good at it. And I'm a con artist. And if you don't know what a con is, you're looking at one. I got really good at it. I mean, I could talk you out of your socks and without you knowing it. I think I could do it again with a couple weeks practice, you know. And so they told me I had to stop all of that. I had to stop doing that. And so I've had to practice this as hard as I've done anything else, to not even because of the drinking, you know. Drinking was the big deal, and then the next thing after the desire to drink was removed, the next thing was the lying. And that wasn't easy. I think that was almost as hard as getting rid of the booze. For me, it was. I had a hell of a time with it. Because when I get to lying, I get to drinking. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Go together like ham and eggs, you know? And I don't even know which came first, the lying or the drinking. Sometimes it was the drinking came before the lying, and the next time it was the lying came before the drinking, you know? And but it all ended up the same kettle of fish. Drunk, not necessarily wanting to be drunk, and ended up in strange places with strange people and all that kind of stuff. And so I guess it's important that I let you know that I just didn't wake up one bright sunshiny day like today and went skipping down the sidewalk and say, well, I think I'll stop at Alcoholics Anonymous today. If there's anybody here that got here like that, I want to talk to you after the meeting. Maybe there is, you know, I don't know. In my years here, most of the people I know at Alcoholics Anonymous got here as a direct result of some big deal going on in their life. A lot of adversity and problems with the law and problems with family and bosses and all kinds of things. And trying to keep jobs and trying to keep families together and all this kind of crap. And we all have the same problems when it comes down to that. And so I don't think that my story is that unique or anything. It's just how it happened, and that's it. And I'm sure there's a lot, I hope there's a couple here tonight that get some identification out of it, because I believe that's the purpose of an AA meeting. We only have one thing here. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a lot of misconceptions of Alcoholics Anonymous, but we only have one thing here, and that's the sharing of experience, strength, and hope. Period. End of sentence. That's all we have. And so I guess it's important that for the benefit of those that are new or comparatively new, that maybe there's somebody sitting here tonight and I tell my story and one of the bananas falls out of your ears. And you say, my God, it's just like me. And that's identification here. And that's what this whole thing is all about. One drunk talking to another, and it works. It works to the tune of over 2 million sober members of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's good enough for me, man. And I consider myself a very fortunate member of this fellowship, because over the years, I've had the privilege, and I mean a privilege, to eyeball 50% of them. Eyeball to eyeball. And I hope and pray that before they throw dirt in my face, I'll get to meet the rest of them. And I'll say in my travels, some of the finest people I've ever met in this world are all turned out to be sober members of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm just eternally grateful to be counted amongst them. No better than, no less than, just dead even. And I think that's one of the greatest feelings we get here. Because when we came in here, we all were lowered in whale dung, and then 2 weeks later, we wondered why we didn't get a new Cadillac this week. Or God didn't intercede and make everything all right and gave you $100 million. Or isn't today the 4th of March? Ed McMahon was supposed to call me today. How many magazines did you buy? I'm in deep trouble at my house about that. And so I guess it's important that I let you know that, like I say, I just didn't wander in here. I'm one of those people from the end of the line group. I stayed out there as long as I could, you know. I stayed out there until I couldn't anymore. And today I'm eternally grateful to booze. Booze brought me to the one place I'd never been before in my life. Got me to my knees. Got me to my knees, the one place I'd never been before. Sincerely, never been there. It got me to my knees, and I came that close to dying from chronic alcoholism. I don't know why you're here, but that's why I'm here. I'm one of those. I came that close to dying from chronic alcoholism. And I don't know why you're here, but I came here, bottom line, to find a new way to live. Because bottom line, my way just simply was not working. My way just simply was not working. And that's why I'm here. I don't know why you're here, but I guess you have to know that prior to my entry in Alcoholics Anonymous, I got to be the one thing I never planned to be in my life. I got to be a drunk cop, just like my old man. And time doesn't permit me to tell you what can happen to a drunk cop, except stir up some old resentments, and God knows you probably don't need any more, especially when it comes to cops. A bunch of cop haters here in the front row. And I'm ashamed of you. But I'll tell you right now, with every bit of honesty left in me, if I had my choice this very minute to be anything in this world, I could be this very minute, still be a cop. Because I loved everything about it. I loved all the excitement, the camaraderie, and everything that goes with being a cop. And I don't know what was going on in your life prior to your entry in Alcoholics Anonymous, but like I say, there's a lot of facts of life I learned here. And one of the first facts of life I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous is that, do you know that 99 out of 100 human beings have what? That isn't only us. That's all those people out there. 99 out of 100 human beings have one thing in their life that's the single most important thing in their life. And in 99 out of 100 cases, that one single thing is another human being. Isn't it incredible? It's another human being. It's a wife, a husband, a lover, a child, a parent, a grandparent, aunts, uncles, somebody is the single most important thing in 99 out of 100 people's lives, except cops. That's right. If there's any cops here tonight, don't ask me, ask them. They all have one thing that's above all human things, and that's a damn badge. And everyone that's ever carried one will tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you. I'd have done anything short of murder to keep that damn badge, except stay away from one drink of whiskey. And this woman that's been putting up with my crap now for 46 years, she was pre-Al-Anon then. She's black belt Al-Anon now. If you don't know what a pre-Al-Anon is, a pre-Al-Anon is anyone who really loves, I mean really loves the practicing alcoholic, and has never been to Al-Anon. They're pre-Al-Anons. And she was pre-Al-Anon. She didn't know anything about alcoholism, Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, Al-Anon, nothing, you know. She just loved the drunk cop, and it was driving her nuts. And because I'm a con artist, I had her that close to being thoroughly convinced that my drinking was all her fault anyhow. You understand that, you con artists? And this room is full of them. I spotted a bunch on the way in. Takes one to know one. And this outfit owes a debt of gratitude to a lot of con artists. One of the co-founders was a kind of a con artist, or you and I would not be sitting here. And so my career in law enforcement came to an abrupt halt one night, you know, nothing I planned. Because like I told you, if I had my choice right now, I'd be out there right now riding the black and white or doing something in law enforcement. But it all came down one night, a bunch of cops and their wives having a party. I don't think there's anything different, incidentally, between a cops party and a civilian party, except maybe at the cops party, the booze is all free. And I don't know about any of you, but I personally just love free booze parties. And I'm not the kind of guy at a free booze party sitting over there in the corner sipping on drinks with a little pinky sticking out, you know. I'm over in the kitchen where the supply is with both hands, getting all I can get while the getting's good in case they run out, you know. And I don't know how long we were at that party, but all of a sudden she sidled up next to me and said, "We're leaving." And I said, "What are you talking about? We just got here." I don't know about any of you, but every party I've ever been at, it just seemed like I just got there and I never wanted to stop. And she looked at me with them cold Al-Anon eyes and says, "We're leaving." And I don't know to this day where she got the keys, because I'm like you. It's my car, I drive. And I don't know how she got the keys, but the fact is she had the keys and we left. All the way home she started bad-mouthing me again about my drinking. I mean, she'd been doing that for years. And we have this ability, you know, we have a little switch up here, and we just goes click, and we turn it all off, and it goes zoom. We don't hear any of it. And I can't explain that night why all of a sudden the switch got tripped or something. And she started saying some weird off-the-wall kind of crap to me, like how my drinking was affecting our entire life. And I said, "Now what are you talking about?" She says, "First of all, we had to leave that party back there for one reason and one reason only. It's because it's affecting our social life." I said, "Yeah? What's that?" She says, "It's because of your dirty, filthy mouth." Do you believe that? I just changed my mind about you. And then she said, "Not only that, it's affecting every other aspect of our life." I said, "Now what are you talking about?" She says, "It's affecting our home life, our children's lives, our financial life, our sex life. Everything about us is being affected by my drinking." Now I'm certain she flipped her lid or something. And we got in the house and she wouldn't shut up. And so I reached for the only thing I know would shut her up, a 38. And I said, "Woman, I've heard all I'm ever going to hear from you about my drinking. I'm going to blow your damn brains out." And she took off like a deer. Out the front door of that house, 6 blocks down the street, to the only place she knew she could get help, the sheriff's office that I work at. And I'd have got her too if she'd just slowed down. And this is as it was told to me, because I tell you, I'm what this book says is a real alcoholic. Yeah. Newcomers, I'll tell you another fact of life. Social drinkers do not have constant blackouts. Only alcoholics have constant blackouts. And if you never had one, I don't know what the hell you're doing here.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing here. Us alcoholics have blackouts. And I don't know how many I had, but I'll never forget coming out of that one. It was about 3 in the morning. I come out of that blackout standing in the middle of the sheriff's office with a 38 in my hand, wondering how the hell I got there. And then my great intellect and better judgment took over again, which newcomers, so I'll tell you another fact of life. Everybody sitting in this room, everybody I've ever met in Alcoholics Anonymous got here as a direct result of our great intellect and better judgment. And my great intellect and better judgment took over again that night, and I said to myself, Self, you better think of something fast. And then this thing that all alcoholics have, every smart drunk out there tonight on the bricks has it. Every smart drunk I've ever met in Alcoholics Anonymous has it. That ace in the hole. You know what the ace in the hole is? Newcomers look at me with quizzical eyes. I see a couple right now. It's because it hasn't been explained to you. Ace in the hole is something that you and I know deep down inside about I know about me and you know about you, that not another human being knows, and that you know someday, somewhere, you're going to have to lay it on somebody just to get out of a jackpot. And I knew that night, tonight's the night, I got to play my ace in the hole, because my great intellect and better judgment took over, remember? I said, tonight's the night, you got to play it. So I grabbed a piece of paper from the sergeant and started to scribble my resignation. Now that's a form of insanity. I mean, that's a form of insanity. I'm going to, with a stroke of a pen, I'm going to give up the single most important thing in my life, just because by then that badge had become so important in my life. It was above that woman, those kids, that house. It was above everything. It was life itself. And with a stroke of the pen, I'm going to give it away. But my great intellect and better judgment told me, and my ace in the hole told me, all the time I was writing, like however you used whatever happened in your life, and you had to play your ace in the hole. All the time I was writing, I knew deep down inside, like you knew deep down inside, whatever your situation was. I knew all the time I was writing, I knew they could not afford to lose the best man in that department. In my humble opinion. And you know what happened? They accepted it. They had covered my butt for the last time. They had been covering my butt for years. And they just had me up to here that night. And the old man took it and says, turn her in. Turn it in. And at the age of 31, I did the most adult, mature thing I could think of. I ran away from home. If there's any runners here tonight, and I know this room is full of them, every runner who ever came into Alcoholics Anonymous, running to something, running from something, we all forgot one thing, and we all forgot the same identical thing. It's incredible. You forgot it, and I forgot it. Wherever you were running to and I was running to, you forgot it, I forgot it. I had to bring me along, and you had to bring you along. And you is the problem, and me is the problem. And you can't make this thing alone, and I can't make this thing alone, but together we can make it. And that's the miracle here, newcomer. Believe me from the bottom of my heart, that's the miracle here. One drunk talking to another, and it works. It works. It's the one thing that medical science still doesn't understand about this thing. I don't believe it. They still don't understand it. One drunk talking to another, and it works. You understand where I've been, and I understand where you've been, and and we're just damn lucky to be alive. We're just damn lucky to be alive. And so I'm just eternally grateful. And I ran so far that I ran as far as I could. I ran till till my hat floated out there, you know. And that was the end of the run. I ran all the way to California, and things didn't just stop then. And I still drank for a while. And finally, I guess it's important that I tell you about my last drunk in the time allotted. So you know I just didn't wander in here. My last drunk, I believe it's important that I share my last drunk with you because I believe I can tell you right now, if you can't remember your last drunk, you probably haven't had it yet. And I don't know about any of you, but I never want to forget what was going on in my life the day I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous. Never do I ever want to forget that day. My last drunk, like I say, was no big deal. I didn't sit around and plan that sucker for 3 weeks or something. It just happened. It was a Friday night, 27th of December, 1963. Just finished eating dinner. Made the big announcement to that woman and those kids that I just left about, seems like 5 hours ago, but it was an hour and a half ago. And I told them, I'm going out and have a couple beers with the guys and I'll be back in 2 hours. And she started that rhetoric, you know, to get it down to a science. Yak, 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 yak. And I'd had it. And you and I get fed up with that crap too. And we still have some rights, you know. And I said, woman, I've just put in 40 for a bunch of ingrates around here. And I'm going out there and commiserate with my friends, and I'll be back in 2 hours. Now knock it off. And that was the 27th of December, 1963, at about 7 in the evening. And I got back on the 13th of January, 1964. Can't tell you to this day where I was. I know on the 27th of December, 1963, at about 7:30 in the evening, I went to my favorite watering hole, a place called the Prelude on Lancashire Boulevard in North Hollywood, which really ain't a hell of a lot to shoot for. It was one of those padded sewers that I had started to frequent. You know the kind I'm talking about? You don't even have a front door, just curtains hanging there, you know. But I really went there to meet these lifelong drinking buddies of mine who I just met 2 weeks ago. You understand that? Are there any bar drinkers here tonight? You know, we're becoming endangered species in Alcoholics Anonymous. Us bar drinkers. But that's what I am. I'm a bar drinking drunk. And I went there to meet these lifelong drinking buddies of mine, and sure enough, they were all there. And we started doing the things that real drunks do in bars. Do you know that they're doing it right this minute? In bars all over this world, the same identical thing. They've probably been doing it for 1,000 years. The same identical thing. Not one thing has changed. You know what they're doing, you bar drinkers, if there's any here, know what's going on in your favorite pub right now. They're all standing around there talking in millions and spending in dimes. Trying to impress people we don't know with money we don't have. If you're a guy, you're trying to put the make on some dolly down there at the end of the bar and impress the hell out of her, you know. Another fact of life. Do you know that the 6 guys I went there to meet? Another fact of life. There wasn't one common laborer in the whole bunch. We were all brain surgeons, jet pilots, astronauts, doctors and lawyers, devout liars. But in this group of 6 guys, there's a new guy. His name was Pete. And Pete was one of those intellectual giants you meet in bars. You bar drinkers again know who I'm talking about. That's that guy or gal who sits down there at the end of the bar and has the answer to every living subject in the world. And that was Pete. You understand, don't you? And that was Pete. I mean, if you had marital problems, he had the answers. If you had medical problems, he had the answers. If you had legal problems, he had the answers. If you had engineering problems, he had the answers. I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, you know? I thought, how can one guy know so much about so many things? And he continued to drunk with us, and thank God he did, because as it turned out, Pete was really quite a guy. He was the one guy in the group who, it seemed, was always well enough to make the run for the rest of us who were too sick to make the run. Pete could find a jug on election day in a dry state. You know, one of them great guys. And besides that, he had A-negative blood, and I stuck pretty close to him. And newcomers today, they don't seem to understand that or whatever, because no matter where I go in this country or any other country, they all corner you over here in the corner someplace after the meeting, and they all ask you the same question, so we'll stop the run tonight, we'll catch them ahead of time. They all come up to you and say, hey man, what do you mean by that A-negative blood crap? Think like they're going to catch you on something, you know, that isn't in the book or something. And what they don't understand is if you got A-negative blood, first of all, it's rare blood. And second of all, when you're selling it to buy wine, you get more for A-negative than any other kind of blood. And so I stuck close to Pete, you know. I mean, I just didn't fall off the turnip truck, you know. And then I can't tell you the series of events that happened, because like I say, I'm a blackout drinker. I was passing in and passing out all the time. And on one of those mornings, we all came to, and Pete didn't. And he had swallowed his tongue that night, a convulsion. And he was deader than a doornail. And I got fighting mad at everything and everybody. And then my great intellect and better judgment took over. Remember, that's what got you here and me here? My great intellect and better judgment took over. I said to myself, Self, if there's a God, why would he let a good guy like Pete go, who knows everything there is to know about everything, and let me stay? Because I love so low self-esteem. And then I can't tell you the series of events that happened after Pete was gone. But newcomers, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to find something here to pray about, really. This is serious business. You're going to have to find something here to pray about, or you ain't going to make it. Fact of life. And I don't know what you pray about, but this is what I pray about every day, that I never forget what was going on in my life early morning on the 13th of January, 1964. It seems we were living in these abandoned cars, one of which was mine. Do you know how your car gets to be an abandoned car? That's really quite a deal in itself. Usually the tires are all flat, the battery's dead, it's out of gas, and it's usually 6 months behind in payments. Then legally it becomes an abandoned car. It also got to be our living room, our kitchen, our bedroom, and our bathroom. Got a little salty in there. And early morning on the 13th of January, 1964, some phenomena took place. I don't even know what a phenomena is at that time. Some weird stuff started happening, because all of a sudden out of that radio came the most beautiful music I've ever heard in my life. It was like the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra was in the car with us. And the thought came to me, man, this is how it must be when you die. Because whether you believe it or not, everybody sitting here tonight, including me, all have a little tape in the back of your head and my head that I dreamt up and that you dreamt up about what it's going to be like the day we check out. We're all concerned about that. And I don't know what's on your tape, but on my tape was music being played, and by God, here was the music. And then I got scared. Like, have you ever been really scared? I mean, really, really scared? I mean, I thought cops aren't supposed to get scared. And I got real scared. And for the first time in my adult life, I got down on my knees in that sewer, cried out to a God I was absolutely certain did not exist. And if he did exist, he didn't want anything to do with a drunk like me. But I said the most honest, sincere prayer I've ever said in my life. I said, God, if there be a God, the only prayer I know is help me. And through a series of unexplained happenings, which I believe are miracles, I got to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous that night, on the 13th of January, 1964, and it has been necessary since to go out there be a phony, a cheat, a liar, and a common drunk. And if I get nothing else out of this deal, I know right now that mere thought ought to last me a lifetime. And I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I got, right off the get-go, I got a hard-nosed sponsor, and he made me go to meetings when I didn't want to go to meetings. And one night I said to my wife and the kids, tonight I'm not going, and he came by early again. Put me in the car and started down the freeway. I said, where are we going tonight? He said, we're going to the hole in the ground. And I thought, oh my God, now they're going to bury me. And for those of you who don't know where the hole in the ground is, it's underneath the Evil Club in Huntington Park, California. It was started by a guy by the name of Tex Adams, who'd been sober since Lincoln had the measles. Thank God for people like Tex who started places like that for drunks like me. And he told me that I had to study this book. I mean, he was adamant about it. He would not let up. He'd get me in the corner and say between page 1 and 164 of this book is how drunks like him and millions of others before him had found a way of not to die from chronic alcoholism. And then he'd lay the ringer on me, look me right in the eye and say, and if you don't want to do it, then get the hell away from me. I thought, how can you talk to a sick alcoholic like that? I mean, don't you understand we're sensitive? And he literally saved my life. He motivated me to do the one thing I would never have done on my own volition. I cracked the cover of the book. Not because I was looking for some spiritual awakening. I'll tell you, my great intellect and better judgment had taken over again. I said to myself, Sal, how can a bunch of words in a book keep a smart drunk like you sober anyhow? So I cracked the cover of the book to prove that he was wrong. And that I'd have a hammer over his head. I could say to him, see, it might be all right for simple jerks like you, but it just don't work for intellectual giants like me. And on one of the pages in one of the books, a mere sentence jumped right. Don't tell me there's no miracles. A mere sentence jumped right off the page, hit me right between the eyes. It says, if you can't be honest with yourself, try at least to be honest with your sponsor. And I knew that night I had to tell him. I had to tell him how I didn't like this outfit. We started down the steps into the Ebell Club, and this great surge of honesty started running through my veins. I never had a feeling like that before in my life. Up until that moment, I'm a phony, a cheat, a liar. I tell the truth about nothing. And I can't explain why all of a sudden I started blurting this all out to him. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, Joe, I got to ask you something. He turned around real gruff. He says, yeah? What do you want now? And I knew he had me, you know. I knew this turkey knew me like the back of my hand. And I asked him that world-famous question that all newcomers are going to be compelled someday to ask their sponsor. How long do I have to go to these damn meetings? And this wise old man with the X-ray vision got fighting mad that fast. Took his index finger and shoved me into the corner outside the meeting hall so they wouldn't hear it inside. When he got me in the corner where I couldn't get away, he started to get violent. Yeah, he started hitting me in the chest like this, and he started to scream. And he said the most profound thing he's ever said to me in 30 years. He said, you idiot! Didn't like that. He says, you have to go to meetings until you want to go to meetings. Then you don't have to go to meetings anymore. Didn't make much sense then, but it sure does now. But that night, because he hit me in the chest and screamed at me, I'll fix his clock. I might have to be in the meeting, but I'm not going to listen. Sounds familiar, huh? Couple in here tonight doing that. Now, I don't know what you do when you're sitting in a meeting not wanting to be in a meeting, but I was sitting in a meeting not wanting to be in a meeting. I was uptight like a spring, you know? I was thinking to myself, this jerk, night after night, hauling me to these damn meetings. I'm going crazy. But they're smart, you know. They make you sit in the front row like that, you know, and pretend you're listening or something, you know. You understand that right now, don't you? And I didn't want anything they had, and I wasn't going to any lengths to get it. So I started staring around the room, counting light bulbs, just to pass the time, you know. I'm trapped, is what it is. And I run out of light bulbs. And I start winking at girls. And I run out of girls. Then I realized there's about 10 minutes left of the meeting, and I spot this clown sitting about halfway back, and he's drunker than a skunk. I mean, he can't find his rear end with both hands. And he's scribbling on a piece of paper, you know. And I didn't know he had to take notes here. And then he split. I saw him sneak out the side door. Don't tell me there's no miracles, because you know what? I'm a nosy bugger. I'm a cop. I'm nosy by nature. And I got to know what that guy put on that bulletin board. And I didn't like the meeting anyhow, and I didn't want anything you had, and I wasn't going any lengths to get it. And I snuck over to the bulletin board and see what they had there. They had all them flyers that we have at AA about roundups and bingos and dances and conventions and picnics and GSRs and all that crap. And none of it made any sense. I'm going to flip out, you know? Have you ever sat in a meeting so damn uptight that you know deep down inside any second now you're going to jump right out of your damn skin and start flipping around the room, totally nuts? I could feel it coming on. And then I spotted that piece of paper that drunk had been writing on. And don't tell me there's no miracles here. Because you know what was written on that piece of paper? It was a little poem about drunks. And I read it, and it made sense. And when nobody was looking, I stole it. Put it in my pocket, took it along home. And on the days when I was absolutely certain that I just can't make this thing, you know, it might be all right for you guys, but I cannot make it. And yet I didn't want to go back out there in them damn cold cars and start drinking rot-gut wine again and die like my buddy Pete. So I get it out of my billfold and read it and save my can a million times. And it's time to go, and I want to thank Lila for asking me to be here. It's a little poem entitled, Which Place? I dreamed one night I passed away and left this world behind. Started down that lonesome trail, some of my friends to find. Came to a signboard on the trail, directions it did tell. Keep right to go to heaven, turn left to go to hell. I hadn't been too good on earth, just a hopeless, boozing rake, and knew that at the crossroads the path I'd have to take. So I started on the rocky path that leads to Satan's place, and shook within not knowing just what I'd have to face. Old Satan met me at the gate. What's your name, my friend? I said, I'm just old sober Sam that's come to a sad end. He glanced through some files. You made a mistake, I fear. You're listed as an alcoholic. We don't want you here. I said, I'm looking for my friends. And a smile stole over his face. If your friends are alcoholic, they're in the other place. So I went back the other way till the crossroads I did see and turned right to heaven, as happy as could be. St. Peter smiled and said, come in. For you, I have a berth. You're an alcoholic. You've been through hell on earth. I saw old Dub and old Pete too. Bill C. and a friend called Bell, and brother, I was tickled because I thought they'd gone to hell. So brothers, all take warning. Learn something from my trip. You've got a place in heaven if you try hard not to slip. If someone tempts you with a drink when you're not feeling well, just tell him you're going to heaven and he can go to hell. Thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. And if that shows up, the gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.